Every product we buy, every service we use, from smartphones to shipping, leaves behind an invisible cost, carbon. And while we've made progress in reducing them, there still remains some emissions that are unavoidable.
Hello everyone, my name is Hans Farid Kreh. I'm the founder and CEO of OXO Earth. We are a climate tech based out of Munich in Germany, and it is our mission to bring our societies back to pre-industrial levels of CO2.
That's where carbon removal comes in. It's the last mile in climate action, neutralizing what we can't eliminate. But there's a catch. Most carbon credit systems today are broken.
We've had 20 years of carbon market working actually to the detriment of our society's interests.
What you have to understand about the carbon world is that every company is going to have to deal with this problem eventually. It may be voluntary at first, but it's bound to become mandatory. And companies will have to go through 3 stages: accounting, reducing, and compensating. So accounting, first of all, you need to know what emissions you're actually producing as a company. Then once you know that, you're trying to reduce it as much as possible, but there will be a residual that you can't remove. And that's where compensating comes in. One way to compensate is to invest in direct air capture. And that means sucking the carbon from the air and storing it underground for the long term. And that is a process that is very expensive, and the technology is still improving. Another way to deal with this problem is to invest in improved forestry management projects. And this has been so far plagued by opaque data, overestimating of storages, just also handicapped by the limited data available. But a lot of this now has changed with satellite technology and LiDAR being so much more accessible, and this data helping forests, but also projects like this a lot more. The problem that many improved forest management projects face is the reversal risk, and that is when you look at a 10-year project, a long-term project that you set out to do, and you think, in this 10 years project I will remove such and such tons of CO2 by doing this and that. Within these 10 years a lot can happen. There can be bark beetles, there can be storm, there can be wildfires. All you know, like 10 years forward, it's impossible to estimate what could go wrong. And this reversal risk is really the Achilles heel of forest-based carbon credits. Most projects go around this by introducing a buffer pool, and that is typically 20%. It's just a number taken out of thin air, quite literally.
It becomes quite clear very quickly that the buffer pools are severely undercapitalized, especially in the light of global warming.
Enter OXO Earth, a Munich-based startup that is rethinking carbon removal. 1 ton, 1 year at a time.
We do that by issuing straightforward ex-post credits once the climate impact is proven.
Their model is regional German forests, short-term durations, and verified carbon storage. The annual renewal cycle leads to the risk being minimized, because if a forest fails 1 year, it doesn't wreck the entire project. It just means that the compensation for this particular year is not going to get paid, and the compensation carbon removal needs to be taken from someplace else. By having these annual projects, it's much more manageable in that sense.
We renew and replace all our tons, all our storage every year.
OXO Earth isn't just creating projects and hoping for the best. They are actually building the infrastructure, and their data stack combines observation, satellites, LiDAR, what I was talking about earlier, with forestry inventory data. It's verified by independent auditors, and they work closely together with the European Space Agency.
We are building algorithms together with the European Space Agency to quantify above-ground biomass in a super accurate manner.
It's not just brokerage, it's actual infrastructure. OXO Earth connects forest owners with companies through data and science, actually building on the data that the forests already have, and then calculating the exact carbon impact.
Our value add in this ecosystem is the quantification of above-ground biomass. We develop the methodology that is a protocol.
The result is, for forest owners, actually an increased bottom line, an additional revenue stream that allows them to reinvest in their estate and actually make it more resilient for the future. Companies, on the other hand, they get verified removal credits and everyone benefits without long-term commitments or uncertainty. Carbon removal is one of the fastest growing market segments within climate tech. According to McKinsey, it could be a $1 trillion market by 2050. But for now, the challenges are trust, transparency, and standards.
We are struggling with companies telling us, oh, carbon credits, carbon compensation, we don't want to deal with this.
It's something that is very complex and something that companies often like to keep a little bit obscure because they claim to have this proprietary carbon system. But actually what they're doing is they're just masking that they're not doing that much by having their own proprietary system. Increasingly, however, the companies are getting called out for this sort of behavior, and that's a good thing because in this sense, OXO is pushing for a new standard. Every ton is tracked, stored, replaced, and since the solution is regional and not in some faraway tropical forest that is hard to imagine, you can actually, as a company, bring out your clients, your customers on site visits and take a look at the actual removal projects that are happening. And this helps to build trust, helps to build the transparency and show the impact to all the stakeholders one can actually have. Behind every startup, there's always also a human story, and that really fascinates me. So I wanted to learn more about Farid's journey. To found OXO Earth, Farid actually left behind a very stable, high-paying banking job in order to pursue and chase the solution to this problem. It hasn't been easy, but if he gets this right, it's going to be a big thing.
There are setbacks 10 times a day, and it's a good day. I would of course start a company again, but it's really tough. I completely underestimated it.
Carbon credits might seem complex and abstract, but they're not. Every product we use actually has a hidden cost, and these externalities are actually catching up with us, and it's about time that we deal with it.
Think of carbon removal as the guys who take the trash out.
And at the same time, give credit to forest owners that have been, on the other flip side, been doing positive externalities for the society, for the environment, and not compensated for it. So on the one hand, companies have been free riding, and on the other side, forest owners have been not compensated fairly for the value that they deliver to society. OXO Earth is still at a very early stage, but their model, grounded in local and verifiable carbon removal credits, might just be what the carbon removal market has been waiting for.
We do carbon removal in forests. We take out the reversal risk out of the equation.
Keeping trees in the forest and letting them sequester carbon for another year instead of cutting them down is one way to build up carbon storage. In some cases, however, it's actually necessary to cut down trees to increase the biomass that is being built up in a particular forest area. If you want to learn more about this strange forestry topic, watch this video here.